what inspired you to get into acting?
What matters is the story and how you craft it.
You've answered a lot of the questions already with that one answer, so that's fine.
You can have the best idea in the world, and and I've read scripts where people have said this is the idea, and you go, oh, that sounds amazing, I would love that, it's a brilliant idea, and then you read how it's been executed and realized, and you go, well, that you've ruined that idea, it's terrible, because at the core you've had a brilliant idea and you've had a brilliant thought, but it's just gone in completely the wrong direction.
Just want to talk to you about this exchange program. Wow, super way to make friends, learn about the world.
I'm here with Tim Long, awaiting the arrival of a young man from Paris.
Pas d'amis, pas de galère. Les pas de la fin, j'évite le malheur. Et dès que Manignon les mots, trop de malheur. Malin comme un chili, le fond, mais j'arrive à l'heure.
Hello, Team Long. Bonjour. Hello. So beautiful. Huh? There's a mix up. Stéphane, school is at 8:30. I am already ready. Am I crazy or are his pants totally see-through? I like girls a lot. I just don't see why they would like me. What? Why? You have good face. You have a nice penis, huh? I see it in the bathroom, team. You travel with your own porn. Yes, and toothpaste.
Please subscribe to us on YouTube and follow us on your favourite podcasting platform. Thank you.
Welcome to Film Forums. My name is Aisha Bailey, and I have with me a co-host today for our interview. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, my name's Millie Hayward, and I'm a scriptwriting student.
Also, we have a special guest with us. Could you introduce yourself?
My name's Dan Mazer, and I'm a director and screenwriter, I suppose, broadly.
You suppose, I love that. How humble. We've seen your credits now. So why don't you tell us how you got into filmmaking in the first place?
Basically, I sort of ended up in filmmaking by a sort of happy accident. I wasn't in any sense a kind of determined from the age of 8 to be the next Stanley Kubrick. I always liked comedy. I always liked writing, and it just sort of happened iteratively and incrementally, I would say. So basically, I always knew I wanted to write comedy, do comedy. In my younger years, I was a very average stand-up comedian. I was fortunate enough to go to Cambridge, and the reason I wanted to go to Cambridge University was to join a little organization called the Footlights, who are a sort of comedy club who have spawned Monty Python, Stephen Fry, Peter Cook, Dudley Moore, Richard Ayoade, John Oliver, Mitchell and Webb, all sorts of people. So it's a sort of, it's basically a sort of comedy university, and it's where I wanted to go and learn my trade. So when I was at Cambridge, I joined Footlights, performed lots there, wrote lots there, and kind of honed my comedy craft. From there, I then went in and worked on TV and wrote for TV, and knew Sacha Baron Cohen we were at school together. So I've known him since I was 11. We then, went on to work together on Ali G for the 11 o'clock show. Then he had his own show on Channel 4. Then somebody asked us to write a film, an Ali G film, and I'd never written a film before. I thought it was something that was absolutely beyond my capabilities, and if you see that film, you may consider that it absolutely was. It's
that film made my teen years. So. Oh,
really? Okay, good. Oh, good. Well, I'm glad I provided some kind of solace in a difficult time. So, and so that basically was our way into film. And once I made that film, I wrote that and produced that. I then became a screenwriter. And moved on and it started writing in Hollywood and America and doing various bits and pieces, writing different scripts. And then through that process, other people were directing my scripts, and sometimes that was good and sometimes that was bad. So I thought, having been on set quite a lot, I thought you had to be kind of an incredible auteur with wonderful vision and just kind of preternatural ability, unlike most mere mortals, in order to be a director. And actually, sort of most directors were just sort of terrible hacks who just went, oh yeah, stick the camera there, and didn't really know what they were doing. So I thought, well, I can be a terrible hack as well, if that's all it takes. And basically wrote a script for working title called I Give It a Year, which I decided I wanted to direct. And went ahead and did that and loved it and enjoyed the whole process and the creative challenges that brought on. And from that point on, I've sort of split my time between writing and directing. And bizarrely, that's whilst I've written movies in that time and directed movies in that time, I haven't written and directed my own script since then. And I'm not really quite sure why I haven't done that, but I'd like to. So basically, since then, which was 2014, I've directed 4 other movies. I've written probably 3 other movies and split my time between the 2.
Wow, that's such a journey. It's really, really cool to hear how you've come up, and especially that you knew which genre you loved and you stuck with it in both sides, whether you were directing or writing as well. Where do you pull your inspiration from when you're coming up with a script idea?
It depends. There's 2 ways of going about it. Sometimes people come at you with an idea and then say, we've got this, will you write a script about it and adapt it, in which case then that's quite easy. And whether it's Bridget Jones, somebody says we want the 3rd Bridget Jones, so you know what you're doing there. Or for example, now I'm writing an adaptation of a sort of video game thing, so that's the property that's there. But when I'm coming out with original ideas, it tends to be, it's that old adage that probably your English teacher taught you at school, which is write what you know, which I think is probably true. So I Give It a Year, for example, was based on, that was sort of the time when I was watching lots of friends get married and sort of going, well, this is a disastrous marriage, this will never work. Let's, what would happen in the rom-com version of, after the wedding when it all goes wrong. And so so that was my inspiration for that. And then I wrote another script about a destination wedding, because I had a destination wedding and lots of things kind of went wrong there, and I thought that would be funny. So it's generally sort of real life that provides my inspiration. And even in sort of bigger things like, even when you're writing Bridget Jones in terms of individual jokes, or I wrote a movie called Office Christmas Party, individual jokes and scenes, they come from people or things that you've witnessed. So I always say that my mind is, footballers, their bodies are trained to play football, and that's how they're honed, and sprinters sprint. And my mind from a very young age has just been trained to see the funny in things, to probably an annoying extent if you're my wife or my family. It's just like, well, I don't think why do you laugh? Why do you laugh at that? That's not funny. I'm just like, not everything's a joke, but to me, sort of, that's the muscle in my brain that works best and is most well defined. So it's just it's always kind of on the lookout for material and jokes and funny things.
That's fantastic to hear. Do you have any advice for sort of script writers trying to get into the industry as well?
Well, look, I think there's 2 things I would say is just write. Keep writing. The brilliant thing about writing is that it costs nothing. It's you and a laptop. It's, that's the advantage you have as a screenwriter that a director doesn't have or an actor doesn't have. An actor, you've got to be given a job or work, and somebody's got to go around and film you, and you have to have a script. And as a director, you've got to have a script, and then you've got to have equipment. As a screenwriter, all you need is a laptop and some ideas. So keep writing, and you will get better. It's that Malcolm Gladwell philosophy of 10,000 hours. And you might think your first script is really great, but unless you are a ridiculous prodigy, it probably isn't. It's probably terrible. And keep writing. Allied to that, get it out there, take feedback. Lots of people read it, and it's mortifying to show people your stuff. I still hate it. I hate people showing edits. I hate showing people edits. I hate sharing my script to anybody and showing it, and it's nerve-wracking even now when you hand in a draft of something. But feedback is always incredibly important, and the flip side of that thing about it being you and a computer is that it's a very solitary, lonely craft. So the more feedback you can get on your things, the better. Try and get them performed or read. So even a read through with actors around a table will just tell you so much about the script. So every time I write a script, as soon as I have a first draft ready, I will get a read through around a table. And sometimes it's great actors who do it, sometimes it's terrible actors who do it, or just kind of jobbing actors. But hearing it read aloud, you'll get to hear the rhythms, you'll know what's not right, you'll see what's slow, you'll see what's fast, you'll see what's unnecessary, you'll see what's funny, what's unfunny, and what's brilliant. And so absolutely, that's a really crucial part of the process. I think that is very, very underrated. Always try and hear it aloud, because it just comes alive, and how you think of it in your head will be different to how it sounds when it's read out. So that's really important. And I would also say, just try and be different, try and be unusual, don't try and do a thing. It's like this, it's like Goodfellas, it's like Jurassic Park, it's like try and be original and unique. And the reason I'm whatever I am now, however successful, managed to make a career in it, is because when Sacha and I started doing Ali G and Borat, there was nothing like it. And whether it was good or whether it was bad or whatever, there was no reason we should be seen as screenwriters, because we weren't. But we did something that broke through because it was different. It made a noise. It felt radical. That's what helped it break through and helps you get noticed. So writing a thing that's a bit like the thing that was just popular is a fool's errand, I think, because there's going to be 1,000 other people doing that because they've seen that. So try, if everyone's going left, you go right. If everyone's saying black, you go white. Try and do something that feels different and unique.
Yeah, amazing. Fantastic answer there, definitely. I just also wanted to ask, because you spoke there a little bit about, getting readers together and hearing it out loud. How do you go about reaching out to actors, and pulling them into your network so that you can, even if they're not the ones that are cast in the final film, how would people get involved in something like that?
Well, in my experience, there's no shortage of people who want to be actors or who think they can be actors. They are not in short supply. And I think in the most sort of basic terms, go to the local drama school, go to the, ring up a local agent and say, look, I just want to do this. Are there actors, and actors similarly are desperate to do stuff. So it's not, I'm not suggesting you get Ian McKellen and Chris Hemsworth to do it. You can just get anyone. And, I've done that before. I was making a film, the film that's just about to come out, called The Exchange, in Canada, and we're in Ottawa. And I was in pre-production in Ottawa, and Ottawa is the middle of nowhere in Canada. And I just got the local, amateur dramatic people to come and sit round a table and do a read-through. And some of them were good, some of them were terrible. But it didn't matter because hearing it was great. So it could be as simple as that. If you're living in Aberystwyth, call up Aberystwyth Drama School or Aberystwyth Amateur Dramatic Society. And I guarantee you there'll be people very happy for a moment of attention, spotlight and whatever. And they'll be thinking, well, this can lead to somebody's there and it's going to be a movie and I'll be the next movie star. And so it's entirely mutually beneficial.
So your recent project, The Exchange, are you able to tell us a little bit about what it's about and also how you got the other actors to come on board with that project?
I was looking to do something a bit more indie and kind of sort of gritty and lower budget. Not such a kind of mainstream studio comedy, having come off the back of 3 or 4 bigger movies. And got a script not written by me, written by an amazingly funny writer called Tim Long, who's been writing for The Simpsons for 20 years. He's one of the main Simpsons guys, and so obviously hugely funny. Read the script, fell in love with it. And it's about, basically it's a true story from Tim, sort of based on a true story about when he was living in the middle of nowhere in Canada in a small town and thought he was kind of more sophisticated and needed kind of to broaden his horizons. And his school had a French exchange program. And he essentially applied to it, was expecting to get a kind of Baudelaire reading, Sartre loving, sophisticate to arrive, and basically he got a sort of French Algerian, sex obsessed, rap loving, chain smoking, vaguely pervy teen to come into his house, who basically sort of slept his way around his small town and kind of ruined his dreams. But obviously through the process, they learn to love each other and learn from each other and bring each other life lessons. And it's brilliantly funny, very touching. And in terms of getting actors on board, it's that traditional process. It's you get a casting agent. Casting agent sends it out to agents, and you audition various people. The trick in this one was to find the Stéphane character, who's the French kid, and we auditioned all around Europe and North Africa, and eventually found bizarrely somebody whose girlfriend I had met on a previous film, and I remember him coming to set and being very funny and very talented, called Avan Jogia, and he was just amazing as a Stéphane and came in the room and kind of nailed it. And so the agents ring round and sort that out, and as soon as people know there is a movie that's been, as they say, green lit, then kind of actors tend to come to you.
Mm-hmm. It's really cool that you were looking specifically, for someone of North African descent as well. I'm half North African, half Scottish. Yeah, that's hence the funny name.
Auditioned. I'm upset you didn't hear about it.
I know, but it's interesting to hear, because it's rare that I would see a casting. Like, I'm usually auditioning for other ethnicities that are not actually my own. So that's really, really cool to hear that you were looking for someone like that. So
it was great, and it was very, very specific, and and Avan, who we cast, turned out not to be of North African descent, but was great. So I'm not sure what the ending to that story is. We tried. How about that?
In terms of like the other side as well, like with treatments and log lines and stuff, kind of the more, I would say, less exciting writing. How do you approach that?
Those are sort of two different things. They're two different parts of the process, really, which is logline is essentially your pitch. That's your idea. And that's, it's your paragraph of this is what the movie is in a nutshell. Are you interested? And that really is just having a brilliant, pure idea that generally in the world of comedy has to be quite high concept, and you should just be excited about that paragraph. It's if it's Jurassic Park, it's dinosaurs come back to life in a theme park. That's like, oh great, I get it, brilliant, fantastic, I love it. And so generally for sort of the bigger commercial movies, that's you want those two sentences that can say what your movie is. Then hopefully once you've interested someone in that, then you move on to the treatment. And the treatment is essentially the movie. And that's the most difficult thing to write, because essentially you're writing a movie. So people say to you, oh, can you just come up with a treatment? And you go, well, that means, can you come up with a movie? You need 3 acts, you need characters, you need tone, you need jokes, you need, all that sort of stuff. And that's a lot of the legwork. And what I find annoying about a treatment is A, how work intensive it is, and you really have to think it through. But B, there's slightly, in my particular example, and I must stress that every writer is entirely different. But to me, a treatment is slightly annoying because it's almost not worth the paper it's written on, because I tend to find that as soon as I start writing, then a million different ideas, the ideas that I had in the treatment will come to me, and I'll want to throw the treatment away because I think this idea is newer and better. And that's the sort of the weird sort of paradox and craziness of writing, is that and we've all done it. You sit down, and on any given day you have an idea, or you extrapolate upon an idea and you write it down and you think this is brilliant. And that's just that moment in time. That's just what you've thought of then. And then the next day you could come back at it and think this is the worst thing ever. I've got to rip it up and start again. And that's the beauty of writing, is the fact that you can start again reinvent it, and nothing's set in stone. And at the same time, the misery of writing is that nothing is set in stone and the possibilities in it are infinite. So, you can hand in. I always use the analogy of a boringly of a red dress, which is, often I've been in the scenario where my log line has been a red dress, and I say, I really want to make a red dress. And you're talking to the producer or the studio head or the director, and they go, great, we're desperate for a red dress. We love red dresses. Red dresses are great. In my mind, I've got a flowing ball gown made of, chiffon and taffeta that's epic and glorious. In the producer's mind, he's got a red leather mini skirt. They're both red dresses, but they couldn't be more different from one another. And it's so just kind of loose and ephemeral that ultimately when you've made your dress and you hand it in, they'll say, well, this isn't what I was expecting at all. I'm going to get somebody else to make this red dress. And so it's a really, it's an annoying process from that point of view, because you don't want to tie yourself down too early to too much, because you want to leave the possibilities open. But through leaving the possibilities open, you also lead yourself to potentially into disappointment.
That's great advice. Thank you. I know with treatments for me, I struggle so much sometimes. And with ideas, sometimes you think it's the best idea in the world and it's the best day ever. And then 2 days later, you go back to the idea and it's sort of the worst day in the world. But no, yeah. Great. Thank you.
And the truth is, it's probably neither. It's probably somewhere in the middle. And the other thing is as well about writing and ideas, it's all execution. That's the crazy thing. So you can have the best idea in the world. And, and I've read scripts where, people have said, this is the idea. And you go, that sounds amazing. I would love that. It's a brilliant idea. And then you read how it's been executed and realized, and you go, well, you've ruined that idea. It's terrible, because at the core, you've had a brilliant idea and you've had a brilliant thought, but it's just gone in completely the wrong direction. So, and again, the beauty of writing is that you can stop, start, reinvent, throw bits away, start again, all of that sort of stuff. It's nothing is permanent. It's just it's just it's ink on a page, so you can just start again. It's not like that's the difference I find between writing and directing. They're completely different challenges. Where as a director, you've got a day in a location or on a scene or on a set or whatever, and whatever you shoot, that's it. You're done. 6 o'clock comes around. That's it, the end. You've got to make the best of it. If you've shot it badly, if the actors have acted badly, if you've made a mistake, you've got to live with it and edit it and make it work. If you're right, if you have a bad day writing, you just go back the next day and do it again. So they couldn't be more different as processes.
Mm-hmm. And also, I think what you envision as a writer may not be what comes out, when the film's made, because the director puts their vision on it as well, and then the editor also. So it can end up being quite a different product. One of the screenwriters that we had on the show, she said one thing that she recommends for people to do is read a script, that has already been produced. Read the script, and as you kind of visualize it when you're reading it, then go watch the film and see how different they are. And I thought that was really interesting, because there's such influence that comes in the production process as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's a brilliant idea. Look, we've all had it with books that we've loved and we've read, and then they've been adapted, and you go, oh, he doesn't look like that. That house doesn't look like that. You've ruined it. And on other occasions, you've gone, oh my God, that's so much better than I ever could imagine. You've elevated it. So, and we're all, that's the process that a writer goes through, which is half the reason I decided I wanted to direct, because you're just in charge of your own destiny then.
Yeah, absolutely. I can imagine it maybe even is quite painful sometimes when you see, the vision that you had in the screenwriting process, and then it be completely changed in the production. So do you think that that's something that you'll explore then, is writing something that you then direct also?
Yeah, I've done that a couple of times. Mm-hmm. And I've really enjoyed that. The problem is, not the problem, but when you do that, it's essentially 3.5 years of your life all on one project. Because for the time you've written it, gone through various drafts, got the script to a point where it's ready to shoot, then you cast it, then you shoot it, then you edit it, then you release it and promote it, and watch what happens to it. That's easily 3.5 years, and that's a long time. And the thing about movies is nobody knows how it's going to turn out. And you think you've made the best thing in the world, and it just disappears without trace, or you make something that you think is average and people love it. So there's the one thing I've learned in 20 odd years is that you can't predict at all how anything is going to be received, whether it's a script that you write that you're really proud of and you've handed to the studio and the producer, and you think this is great, they're just going to greenlight it straight away, and they just go, no, don't like it, to a film that you've made that you think is Oscar worthy and will cement your reputation as an auteur forever, and it just kind of disappears without trace. So it's a very sort of precarious and capricious business.
That's great, yeah, because I know that filmmaking is like, you never really realise how much of a long journey it is. Like 3 years is a long time. But with directing, is there some sort of piece of advice you give to sort of directors wanting to sort of show their work or get out there into the world?
Well, I think the thing about directing is, it's tougher to get out there and get your work out there than it is as a writer. The same rules apply, which is what is great that exists now and has a potentially limitless reach is, of course, the internet. And I know directors who have made a short or made a sketch or had a couple of clips or just created something that's gone viral, shot on a phone, shot on whatever, and that's made their reputations, because again it's broken through, it's caused it's garnered attention, it's got views, and people have said, wow, I love that person, I'd love to see what they can do next, and thrown a script or something that way. So I think it's going out there, just shooting, rope your mates in, do it with animation, do it with whatever, but just get your voice out there, show what abilities you've got, and post it, put it on the internet, and if it's great, it will find a way out there and people will watch it.
Fantastic. Also, I just wanted to talk about, because you were talking about this film, how you were looking to do something a bit more indie, with your, directing and production side of things. What kind of decisions did you make as a director that would kind of help to keep your budget down?
Well, the decisions are sort of forced on you as a director, because you say you wanted to do something indie, and they say this is your budget, and you always say, well, I want more, and I want a crane, and I want 1,000 extras as opposed to 300, and I want, and so you're always trying to push it further and do it more. So, but you're obviously made aware of your constraints by your producer. So it's really just a case of trying to make things more intimate in terms of your sets. You think about the scale there and work out, well, how can I shoot this in a way that makes 200 extras look like 1,000? And it's just it's just annoying budgetary considerations more than anything else. And you shoot somewhere like Ottawa, where your money goes further than it does in Hollywood or New York or London, and you get your tax breaks there. And then you have your stars, but then you find interesting, funny local actors who are kind of slightly undiscovered gems, which was a real treat and really lovely to do. You say, I don't want a trailer or an assistant, because you could put that money into on screen. So it just makes you, it's funny. I then went from that to the movie that I'm directing now, which had a budget 10 times as much as the movie that I've the Exchange, and even on that you just go, well, I want more money, and I want more extras, and I want more this, and I want more that. So it's it's the story is exactly the same regardless of how big your budget is. Essentially, that it's sort of a director's job to always push for more and bigger and better, and see how far the budget can go, and ask people to stretch it. So it's just it's just a different paradigm essentially.
Yeah, no, fantastic. Thank you so much for your time. I understand that you have many other places to be as well. So, yeah, thank you so much for coming on, and we've enjoyed having you.
Real pleasure to meet you both. Thank you very much for chatting to me, and good luck with everything.
Please subscribe to us on YouTube and follow us on your favourite podcasting platform. Thank you.